So now I'm just working around. I'm working in the same area just to save some time here. So now in here, I'm going to have to steady my hand here. I'm painting on an angle so that you guys can see most of this painting. So right at the top, and you're just going to now start touching in just at the very outside edge. And it's short, choppy strokes. And that's where you start defining that. Okay, I'm going to work down, let's see, right in here. You'll be able to see that a lot better. So this one here, I'm going to create an edge right here. Okay, just a little edge. Now, I see this as being a rock coming out and then jutting down because I see an edge here. So I can see something happening there. So I'm just bringing that out here a little bit more. And then where there's that edge, and I'll just kind of bring that color down just a little bit. You don't want to bring it down too much, but you do want to create a little bit of shape here. And then we'll come back later and just darken that up a little bit. So all I'm doing on the palette, oops, let me just turn this way and put it on an angle so you can see. So I'm just working, depending on where I'm working, I start here, then I go here, then I go here, then I go here. I start with a darker color and I just work lighter, lighter, and lighter. You just don't want to start with too light of a color immediately. Okay, and that's all I'm doing is I'm just working myself around. And then I'm just picking up the next value when I want to go over something, just make it a bit brighter. Not over the same spot though. And I'll just go maybe at the very outside edge. And just kind of touch in a bit of a brighter highlight. Where you'll add the brightest highlight, now I'm going to go to this original mix that we made here. Okay, I'll go to that original mix. I'm going to steady myself very, very carefully, and I could just add a little bit of that mix right on the very, very edge. Wherever there's a harsh ridge, okay, now I'm picking up color. I don't know if you can see that in there, so I have to wipe my brush and start again. There are the pros and cons of working with oils. The con is having to wipe your brush all the time. The pro is obviously that you can take your time doing this. And just touch. I'm just skimming. Just skimming the top. Okay? And you just keep going. So this one here, I can create another ridge here if I wanted to. Just like so. Wipe my brush, pick up a bit more color. Oh, let's see. Where shall I start next? Oh, I want to connect. I'm going to connect this part here to this part here. So I'm going to have, think of a U shape. Here, I'm going to connect this one to this one. So all I'll do right there, and I just connected those two together. So now I have that ridge coming right around like this, keeping that part dark, which sets it back. Another thing that we can do, let me just grab some color, and I gotta find a good place to do this. Let's do it over here. So let's say I have, so if the sun is here, I can actually highlight this area right here. So if I put some highlight color in here, don't do this step. What I'm doing, don't do it. Let's pretend you're highlighting. Don't do this. And you're getting, let's say you're on the phone and you're painting and you're doing this and the right brain kicks in, for those of you taking our drawing class, and you kind of lose track of time and you have no idea what you're doing. You go, what did I just do? Well, if this was a snow scene, this would be, actually that doesn't look too bad. This doesn't look too bad. But if this was a snow scene, that'd be fine. But if it's not a snow scene, what do you do to fix this? Well, if this was acrylics, you could then just make up some more of this base mix, okay, and you could use choppy strokes and you can cover it up, let it dry, and then highlight it again. We're working with oils, okay, so what do? Well, a couple of things is that you can take your palette knife and you can try to scrape off some of the color, but I'm using so little paint, this is a waste of time. You can take a paper towel and wipe it down. That honestly is another waste of time because you're going to be getting fibers from the paper towel onto your painting. The easiest thing to do, okay, you can take a clean dry brush, go right back in here, and just pick up that color. And when you pick it up, just make sure you go into the same direction that you applied that color in. Okay? You can just pick up that color. You can say, well, if I'm using oils, why can't I just add the base color right on top of this? You're going to have so much paint on here. Okay? I'm just blotting my brush with paper towel, squeezing it out, and all I'm doing is just picking up the top layer. So now all I'm doing is I'm going over and I'm picking up some dark and I'm going back into the light. I'm just kind of evening everything out now. Once I have where there isn't any harsh lines in here, I'll go back and pick up that base mix. I'm sort of touching and bringing down. So I'm touching and then kind of bringing down a little bit, lifting up. Touching, coming down a little bit, and then coming up. And what this is doing is allowing me to create sort of like those little choppy strokes in here. But if I do this, because there's white on there, by doing this, I'm pushing that paint into the white without dragging it anywhere else. Patty, 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 patty. Patty wax stroke. Pick up a bit more of that color. And that's all I'm doing, just basically patting and patting and patting and pushing and pushing and pushing. It's still very little paint. So you would do that until you have everything kind of covered off where you'd want it. Okay? So that's how to fix an over highlighting. Okay? Now, I have all that dark color in that brush. I'm not going to clean my brush in brush cleaner. All I'm going to do is in the white, I'm going to really load my brush with white paint and then wipe it on the paper towel. All that white paint will cancel out all the color that was in the brush. And then I just have to get a paper towel and wipe it out. That's it. And I'll go back and I'll pick up some of that fresh highlight color. Okay, that yellow mix here. Okay, so now I've got that highlight mix in there, so I'm just going to take right on the very extreme edges. And it's such a small stroke. Such a small stroke just to right on the very, very extreme edge. So this piece here that we fixed, and we're just going to come. These are all repetitive strokes. Because once you've got the technique, you just basically apply it to the rest. And everybody's mountains are going to look different.